Hello. Yeah, hi. Very good evening to everyone. I hope you can all hear me.
Yeah, yeah. Now we can hear you.
Okay. So let me just share my screen. Okay. So like yesterday, what we were doing was we had started off this the sessions on the Excel, and what we were doing was we was just trying to understand the conditional formatting. So this was a part that we had done in the last yesterday, right? So anything and you would like to ask anything over here before I move ahead? Okay. So now you know what happens is in the conditional formatting only, right? When you do conditional formatting, there is also one very interesting option that you will find. Suppose let's talk about these profits over here, right? Let me just select the profit up till here. If you come in the conditional formatting, there is an option of create. You have the option of highlighting top 10 items or bottom 10 items, top 10% items, bottom 10% items as well. So it's not just 10, you can highlight any number. Like if I click on this top 10 items, so suppose I want to highlight only top three. What were the top three profits that I made? So you can do that, right? You can highlight top three. Same way you can highlight bottom three as well. So if you come over here, conditional formatting, you can come to the bottom and you can highlight bottom. Suppose I want to highlight bottom three items. So you can do that. Okay. So you can highlight that thing if you want. You can also make some very interesting, some charts or bars or scales as well, right? Like these profit numbers that I have selected. If I come on the data bars, I can make some bars, right? If you see right now, you see there are some bars that I am creating. So if you click on this, so these are just different colors. So basically, what is going to happen is within the range that I have selected, what Excel is going to do is it is going to, it is going to identify what is the minimum number and what is the maximum number. And based on that, right, based on the minimum and the maximum number, what is going to happen over here is it is going to, create the bars. So if you see the biggest number has the biggest bar, the smallest number has the bar on the left hand on the negative side. And as depending upon the size of that number, a bar has been created, right? If you see this is 0.582, right? So similarly, if you come over here, as you go down, you can see the numbers are there, and on that numbers the bars have been created. Okay, so you can see this number is the biggest number, 2.290. So it has the full size bar. And if you come down over here, this number after 219, you have another number as that you can see as 90. That has this a little more bigger bar over here. You have 85, 68. And likewise, the number which is the smallest, that is minus 383, it has the bar on the negative side. Okay. I hope this is making sense. Like for example, if I write some numbers over here, I write 500, 400, 300, 200, and 100. So now if you create the bars, so 500 will get the biggest bar. So if I just come again, conditional formatting, and I say I want to create the bars, and if I create it, so you can see 500 gets the biggest bar, smaller, 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 and the smallest. Okay.
Can we customize this bar based on our data? Can we give our data range or something like that?
Customize as in like what change will you like to have?
Like I would like to know whether this particular style or the bar is it fixed, or can I give the min value, max value, something like that?
No, anyways, you don't need to do that because these bars are anyways dynamic, right? Like for example, suppose if you change the number, suppose this number becomes 700, so the bars will change. So this becomes now bigger, this becomes smaller.
Okay.
Well, this is just a number comparison. These numbers that you have. So I think the
Similarly,
part
the negative, if the number changes in negative, it will expand left. Is that right?
So if I suppose if I make this number as minus 200, so it comes on the left hand side.
Okay. Because everything seems to be in the same color, right? I want the positive numbers in green or negative
For
numbers.
that, for that we have another scale.
Okay.
Like if I just copy these numbers over here,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you come in the conditional formatting, so this was data bars, and you were talking about color scale. So if you come on the color scale, this is what we have. So now the negative numbers are in the red, positive numbers are in the green, and there is a scale that you see. As the number is increasing, so you can see from dark green to red, the color is moving. So we have this color saturation that we are looking at. So the biggest number has a green color. As it's going to the lower side, it is turning into red.
Thank you.
You can click on the more rules over here. Now this is where you can select your number, the number that you were asking, that what type of number you want to have. So you can select that, the lowest value that you want to keep, you can put that number over here. Highest value that you want to keep, you can put that number over here. So you can choose your color scales from this.
Amit, sorry to interrupt. Can you just show it to me one more how this dialog box came in?
That was just so. This is you
You
select the
selected
range,
this first. Okay.
color scales, and more rules.
More rules. Okay. Okay. Yeah, got it.
And same way, you also have one more type of numbers. So if you one more type of conditional formatting, if you come over here, you can have icon sets as well. Icon sets are like arrows and all. So the numbers which are on the higher side, they are in the green color, green up arrow. The numbers which are on the lower side, they are in the red, and the numbers in the center, they are in the yellow. So you have the icon sets as well. Okay, so you have a variety of these things. So although you won't be using these the icon sets and all very much. It's because generally when we create the reports and all, so we use some different techniques. But this is always a good to know because you might need something where you would like to present the numbers and you would like to show some parameters, right? What you can do is you can just try to make some reports fancy. You can just over here you can come up and you can make the numbers as white, and you can keep the arrows over here. So you can write the numbers on this side, what that number is. So you just trying to make a report somewhere, which we are going to discuss, like what exactly a report is and how do you make it in the Excel. So I'll show you that over here. So you can use these arrows or the color saturation points in order to reflect the weight of the numbers.
And what is the use case of depicting this as data colors, or can you please give an example, the use case?
So this is, as I said, this is just for the purpose of reporting. Like for example, what you want to do is you are creating a report, right? Suppose I was creating a report, and let me just this. Right now, suppose this is a small report that I have created. These are the subcategories, and these are the sales value. Okay. Now, what I would like to do over here is this is a report that I want to present to my manager, where I'm seeing that across these subcategories, this was the sales that was generated. Now I can actually make it little more attractive. So what I can do over here is I copy these numbers over here, and then what I do is I just come over here to the conditional formatting, and we can use some icon sets, right? So if you see now over here, I have put up the arrows. So now by looking at the arrows, the person is going to get an idea that okay, these in this subcategory the sale was high. Wherever you have a green up arrow, the sale is high, right? You can see the sale is high. So what happens over here is these are, what happens. So let me just show you what happens over here is. Okay. See, what happens is basically, okay, I'll just tell you that part in the later part. That will become a little more, different over here. But just to have a look at it now, so if you take a look at this, right? So the subcategories that have the sales on the lower side, they are having the red arrows, and the sales which are on the higher side, they are having the green arrows. So same way, what you can do, you can, if you want to give some appeal as in the form of data bars, right? You can use data bars also. So you take a look at it. So I'm just making it a little big. So now what you do is, if you see over here, okay, now you see it looks like a chart right now. So I can see over here the highest sales is over here, then the sale is over here. So by looking at the bar size, you can try to make your report. It's like a kind of a report field that you can give to this the report that you might would have created.
Okay, like the sales performance you are showing.
Yes. So based on that, by
Okay.
looking at the bars, you get that idea that okay, this is where the
Yes.
highest is lying, this is where the lowest is lying.
Okay, this makes sense. Thank you.
I have a question, Amit. Like the earlier chart that you were showing, there are 200 and 300. Both of them were treated in the same way. So why is it that? I mean, those are different values. Why they are given that? Like
Sorry.
I mean, you have shown that earlier chart in which 200 and 300 values were there, and in both the cases there was like horizontal arrow. So why they are treated in the same way? I mean, if it's like average is considered, I mean, how is this up arrow and down arrow decided? Is this on the basis of the average sales? Like it's more than average, then it should go up, or less
So
than
it's
average?
basically it uses the average data over here. So more
Okay.
than average and below average. So that is how it puts it.
Okay, so here the average would be around, I think 300. So why 200 and 300 are treated in the same way?
Basically, you see right now over here. Now this is how these arrows are, or the color gradients are selected. So when values are more than 67%, when the
Oh,
value is less than 33%, between 67 and 33%, and when the value is less than 33% of the data, that is how the color schemes come up.
got it. Mhm.
Right? So if you want to change that up, you can change that percentage value. And same is the case for these arrows also. So if
Okay.
you come over here and you come on this more rules, so you can see when the value is more than 67%, so it is green, then 33 to 67 it is yellow, and then it is red. So this is how the percentages are defined.
No. Mhm.
You want to
Thank you.
change it, you can change the percentage from here as well. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So this, let's move ahead. So now there are some, again, right? These are some things that you will see if you want to insert some rows, columns, and anything. You can use this, right? For example, now I'm again going to tell you some shortcuts over here. So you see this insert is like, for example, you want to insert a column, right? You feel that before order ID you want to have some additional stuff. You can come over here. You can say insert cells. So a new column will be added, or you can say insert column. So a new column will be added. And there's a shortcut also for that. That is Control Shift Plus. So if you press Control Shift Plus, there's a shortcut to add a new column. So first of all, so let me, you can, now this is a shortcut that you will be using a lot. So you can take a note of this. So if you have to select a complete column, right? If you want to select this column B, you can you can press Control Space. When you press Control plus space, it selects the entire column. And when you select Shift plus space, it selects the entire row. Okay, Control space, entire column, Shift space, entire row, and then Control Shift plus, it adds a column. Control minus, it removes a column. So please just try this out once. I know this is something you will be using a lot, so you can keep just keep this shortcut in your mind. Okay, so now over here, so this is how you can add the rows and columns you want to delete. So these are all the options for that. You want to do the sorting of the data, so you can use the sorting option from here, right? So if you have all this data right now with you, so let's explore the sorting. If I select all this data right now over here, right? Suppose I want to sort this data. Suppose I want to sort this data by sales in the highest from largest to smallest. So what you can do over here is you can see if you will select smallest to largest or largest to smallest from here, the data is going to be sorted by the first column, right? The first column, the data will be sorted. But since you want to sort the data by sales, you will come over here and you will select custom sort. And then you can say that you want to sort the data by sales in the largest to smallest, so descending order. So now if you will see, complete data has been sorted, could have been sorted by sales. So highest sales is coming at the top, and as you go down, the sales are decreasing. Complete data was not selected. So please try this, the sales. Okay, shall I move ahead? So now what we're going to do over here is, let's come to the insert tab, right? So in the insert tab, I'll come in a little bit of a later part, right? So first of all, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come to the part of formulas. Now what we are going to discuss over here is, once we have seen some of the formattings and how we insert the data, now this is where we are going to come to the portion of formulas now. So when you click on the formulas tab, you will find a lot of stuff over here which is related to the formulas right now over here. So now what are formulas basically, right? So when we talk in terms of Excel, so right, So what are formulas basically? So formulas or functions. So people also call this as functions. Now these are like pre-written codes which help us in doing quick calculations. Okay, like for example, so what they do is they take some input and give an output. This is basically what a formula and function is, right? They are going to take some input from us and they will give some output to us. So like for example, some of like one function we had explored yesterday, and that function was sum. So sum takes some input from you, some numbers from you, and it adds them up and gives you the final output. That is what a function is doing. It is taking some input from you and it is giving you an output. So if you will see over here in Excel, there are lots and lots of functions. Like there are 500 plus formulas that are available which you can use. Definitely, it's beyond the capacity of anyone to actually, you to actually see what those functions are or try all the functions. People generally, we will be covering the most, the common ones that we use in a day-to-day basis. But yeah, if you understand how the function is used, you can actually use any of the function without any hesitation. So first of all, the first thing that you will notice over here is what Excel has done is they have bifurcated the formulas into different sections, right? They have made some financial functions, right? These are the functions which are used for financial purposes. They are over here. Similarly, they have created some date functions, right? You want to work with the dates, you will find date functions over here. You want to work with some mathematical functions, you will find all the mathematical functions over here in this list, right? You want to work with the lookup functions, you will find all the lookup functions over here. So we will be discussing them, what all these functions are, but I'm just telling you how they have created the different libraries, right? They have created, like, like when we go to a library, over there they have sections that this is where you will find the fiction books. Over here you will find the science books. So that is how what they have also done is they have made certain sections over here. So now the first thing, the first formulas that we are going to start off with, we will start with text functions. Okay, we will be exploring some of the text functions, right? So we will start with text functions. So I am going to start off with the text functions as left, right. Maybe I'll start with lower, proper, left, right, mid, length, replace, find, search. Now these are some of the formulas that I'm going to explain you when we talk about text functions. Okay. See, now lower, upper, and proper. These are very straightforward functions. Suppose you have some data that is given to you. Suppose I have written some data like hello, goodbye. Okay. Lower is the function. What this function will do is this is going to convert the data into lowercase. So if you come over here and I say, so how do we use a function is a function is going to start with equal to sign, right? Or a formula, right? You call it as a formula or a function, that is the same thing. So whenever you have to write a formula or function, the formula is going to start with equal to sign. So if you write equal to, from that what happens is Excel understands right away that you are now writing a formula. You can either write equal to or you can say plus. So if your if your any of the context starts with equals to or plus sign, now Excel knows that you are going to write a formula over here. Okay, but generally we use equal to only, so I'll use equal to. If I say equal to lower, right, the moment you write the name of the function, so first thing that you will notice is Excel gives you the definition about it, right? What that function is going to do. Now, what this function will do, it will convert all letters in a string to lowercase, right? It is going to convert all the data into lowercase. So I have written only LOW. If you press tab, the function will be started, selected. Now this function is going to take only one input, and that is the data. What text do you want to convert into lowercase? So I want to convert hello into lowercase. Okay. Now what I've done is I have written M2. It is converted into lowercase. So you see all the data has been converted into lowercase. So all of you please try this out. Okay. See, now what I will do is I want to apply this same function, this lower function, on all the three cells, right? I want to apply this function on all the three cells. Now what is going to happen over here is, if I just select the cells below, right? Either what I can do is I can press copy and paste. So if you now copy and paste, what has happened is, because I have done copy and paste, so copy and paste, it exactly copies each and everything, right? So it has copied the complete formula and it has pasted over here. Now this is lower function over here, lower function over here, lower function over here. So I have copied the function and pasted in all the cells. So the function has been pasted. Now over here, I'm going to now tell you one of the very important features of the Excel now. If you see over here, what is M2? So what is M2?
Hello.
It's a formula to convert the text to lower.
No, so M2 is basically range, the address of the cell. That is this word, right? That's the column name and the row number. So that is how we are referring. That is how we are calling this is M2, and this is M3, column number M, row number 3. So we actually give the reference, the address of the cell. That in the cell number M2, whatever the value is, I want to convert that into lowercase. Suppose if I change the value over here, I call it as, something, I call it as this. This formula is going to change. That it is going to convert that data, whatever data you have in the M2, into lowercase. Okay, this is something that is going to happen now. So over here, when I copied the cell of this over here, so do you notice something changed from here to here? What is changing in the two formulas?
The
Now-
address.
Huh?
The address is changing.
Address is changing.
Yeah.
Over here, the formula was lower of M2. When I copied and pasted this formula over here, it became M3. And when I pasted it over here, it became M4. What is changing? Row number, right? Row number is changing. 2 is becoming 3. 3 is becoming 4. That is the row number that is changing over here. Now see, I'll like to explain you again with a very more detail. Suppose I write some numbers over here and like some numbers over here. Okay. If I want to add these numbers, right? This number and this number, this number and this number, this number and this number. Now what will happen is if I say equal to this number plus this number, right? I want to add number F10, number that is lying in the column F, row number 10, plus column number G, row number 10. I want to add them. If I now copy this and paste it over here, now over here I right away notice it becomes 10 plus 3. So when I copied and pasted the formula down, so it became F11 and G11. So my row numbers got automatically incremented. Okay, so what happens in Excel is, in Excel, the rows and columns are dynamic, right? When you copy and paste in the context of some formulas, when you paste the formula on the downside, what happen is Excel is automatically going to increment or it is going to change the row numbers when you paste the formula on the lower side. See, if I'm pasting this formula, if I copy this formula from here and I paste it over here, it automatically has changed my row numbers. Because when I go down, I'm going down, I'm changing my row numbers. I might write to the row number 12, I become 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So my row numbers change. And when we go from left to right, in that case, my row number doesn't change, my column number change. My column is changing. Now, what does that mean? If I copy this cell and I paste it over here, I get the output as 4. Why 4? Because when I copied this formula was F10 plus G10. But I have pasted it on the right side. So I have pasted on one side, or on one cell, I just moved one step. So F became G, G became H. So that is the thing that has happened over here. G10 plus H10, that is G10 was this, H10 was this, I get a 4 as an output. Are you all understanding this? How this number has, how this sum has come up? This class?
Yeah,
So when you are
following the top to bottom approach, you mean the row numbers are changing. Is that right?
when you go from top to down, it is row
Yeah.
number.
And vice versa is when you go from left to right. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, and left to right is in that column number will change.
Okay. Yeah, getting it.
Okay. Now, suppose I have these numbers and there is one number like this. There is one number that is written 20. Now, what I want to do over here is I want to multiply all these numbers, this number with 20. So I will say this number multiplied by 20. Correct? Are you all clear on this? 2 multiplied by 20, I get the 40. So I am saying F25 multiplied by number that is in the M23. So I am multiplying this number with M23. That is this number, right? Now, I want all the numbers to be multiplied by 20. I want all the numbers to be multiplied by 20. So can I copy this formula and paste it down? Can I copy this formula and paste it down over here?
No, I don't think so.
Why so?
0.
I think that's where we have to use that paste special which you were talking about yesterday.
No. Right away, just trying to, I'm not hard code the numbers. I'm trying to do it with the formula like this, normal way. Basically, what I'm trying to see, I'm saying I want to multiply all these numbers with 20. That is one of the ways, but I'm not doing it with this way. I'm doing it by the normal multiplication way. See, now please pay attention over here. See what has happened over here right now. This was the formula. I said that I want to multiply this number with this number. I got 40 as an output, which was totally correct. Now, when I copy this formula and I paste it over here, now what I'm doing, I'm pasting the formula down, correct? When you take your formula down, what happens? Row number change. What is the row number? 25 and 23. That is, I am multiplying F25 with M23. Now when I will paste it down, it will become F26 and M24, right? So if you will see now, it becomes F26 and M24. Now F26 is correct, that I have to multiply this number, but what has gone wrong?
No value in the row 2. So it is giving
In,
0.
in this cell, this has become M24. This was M23. Now this is M24. Now there is no value.
Yeah.
This is blank. So that is why I am getting 0. 3 multiplied by 0, I get a 0. Is this part clear to all of you?
Yeah.
Right? Harsha, Divya,
Yes. Yes.
everyone? Okay.
Mhm.
Now, the only thing is this is something wrong, because technically what should have happened is that all the numbers over here, they have to be multiplied by this number only. So that means that if I copy this formula down, what should happen is that this cell, row number for this cell should change, but nothing should change for this cell. This should always be M23 only, correct? Because if over here also it was M23 only, I would have got the correct output. But because of a property of Excel, it is going to change. This formula is going to change, because the moment I'm going to copy and paste it down, 22 will become 23, 23 will become 24, and likewise. So what we do in this case is there is a concept of freezing. Freezing the cells, right? What you can do is you can freeze the cells. For example, if you come over here in M23, you want that whenever you copy and paste this formula anywhere, this M23 should not change. M23 should remain M23 only. So what we can do is we can freeze this cell. And how do I freeze the cell? You have to put a dollar sign over here and a dollar sign over here. You put a dollar sign before the column name and you put a dollar sign before the row name. Now that means this M23 is freezed. So if I copy this formula and I paste it down, now you will notice M23 is not changing anywhere. M23 is freezed. Making sense?
Yeah, in simple words, you're just making that particular cell value as static.
Not static, it's dynamic only. Basically, if you change the number, if you make it
Oh, you're
40,
just preserving. Oh, okay, okay, it is changing.
right? I am
Okay,
just freezing the cell address, that this cell
yeah,
address should not change.
okay, okay.
Okay. So we have said that this cell should not change in the, if you paste the formula right on, if, and this formula is true. If you copy this formula on the left right hand side also, you will notice this is still M23, but this number has changed. It has become H25 because FGH, the column numbers moved. But because this was completely freezed, so this hasn't changed. It is still M23. Okay. So please just try this once. This freezing. Now, this freezing is a very, very important concept, right? This is something where I'll be telling you right now more stuff as well. So what happens is when it comes to freezing, there are three things that you can do. You can freeze the row, you can freeze the column, and you can freeze the row and column both. right? So what do I mean by freeze the row and freeze the column? Freeze the row means, see, this is the column number and this is a row number. When you put a dollar sign, just before the column number, that means you are freezing the column. If you put a dollar sign just before the row number, that means you are freezing the row number. And when you put the dollar sign at both the places, that means you are freezing the row also and you are freezing the column also. Okay. Are you all clear on this much part? This part that we have discussed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now what we are going to do over here is just to explain you this thing again, right? Because now this is something that is going to play a very important role. Like for example, what I do is, let me give you a small example of this. Okay, let's suppose, I have these numbers over here. So these are the numbers that I'm having, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now what I want to do over here is, suppose I have a number 100. I want to multiply all these numbers with 100. What will be my formula? I will say equal to this number multiplied by this number. Okay. Now, if I copy and paste this one on the right hand side, these numbers are going to change, right? If I paste it on the right hand side, you will notice that this cell was D37 multiplied by N34, right? This is N34. So I'm saying D37 multiplied by N34. Now, when I move on the right hand side, what happens over here is E37 becomes D37 becomes E37. That is totally correct. But N34 became O34. So how can I resolve this problem? If you see right now see, please try to understand it. In this scenario, what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to paste my formula on the right hand side. So when you paste the formula on the right hand side, what changes? Row number or column number?
Column number.
Column number.
Column number, right? So now, don't you think if I come on the N34, if I just freeze the column number, that means I put a dollar sign before the N. Now that means if I'll move, copy and paste the form on the right hand side, N will always remain static, right? Everywhere N is now not going to change. So if I paste it on the right hand side, I get the correct result. D37 into N34, 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 N34. Now, because I am pasting the formula on the right hand side, you see only the column number is changing. But now if I'll paste the formula down, if I'll take it down, then the row number will change. 37 will become 38, 34 will become 35. If I'll put a dollar sign over here also, then what is going to happen is, now the row number will also not change. Now that will also become static. And I can apply the same thing over here also and over here also, right? Like for example, if I say, suppose I apply a dollar sign over here, right? So now if I paste it on the right hand side, I will get the same result everywhere. See, D37, D, D, N, D, N, D, N, D, N, because I have freezed the D and the N. So when I'm moving on the right hand side, my column numbers are not changing. D37, D37, N34, N34 everywhere. So I get the same result in all the cells. Okay. Please, all of you just try it once on your system. Yep. Are you all trying this? And I'm going to give you a small activity over here. Let's see how many of you are able to do it. See, I've written 5 numbers over here, 5 numbers over here, and 5 numbers over here. Okay. What I want all of you to do is you have to write one single formula, right? You have to write one single formula that this number multiplied by this number. Now you have to just play with the freezing. If if you are able to do it, that means you have understood the concept of freezing over here. You have to just play with the freezing over here in such a way that when you copy this formula everywhere, the output should be 1 multiplied by 1 1, 2 multiplied by 1 2, 3 multiplied by 1 3, 4 multiplied by 1 4, 5 multiplied by 1 5. Then you come over here, 2 multiplied by 1, 2 multiplied by 2, 2 multiplied by 3. Likewise, then 5 multiplied by 1, 5 multiplied by 2, 5 multiplied by 3, 5 multiplied by 4. So this number gets multiplied by all the 5 numbers. So that is how we want the multiplication that we want to see. So please, all of you, try this. Anyone who is able to do it? So one single formula, you have to just copy and paste everywhere so that you get the results. That's the multiplication of these numbers. Because this is something that we are going to use. This freezing of the unfreezing is something that we are going to use very extensively, especially with the formulas. And you see, this is making sense with only formulas only, right? So when we will see some advanced formulas over here working with, so you will see there is a lot of this freezing and freezing we are going to play up with.
I have done it. So basically, I put a dollar sign in front of the C, and in the, the next one, I put a dollar sign in front of the 18. So basically, I'm freezing one column and one there. So
correct. So in one of the cell, you will have to freeze the column, and in another one, you will have to freeze the row. Perfect. That is exactly what we need to achieve over here. So because if you see over here, if this is when you are multiplying with these numbers, so when you copy and paste the formula down, the row number should not change. And when you are multiplying with these numbers, so what should happen is when you paste it on the right hand, when you bringing that formula down, the row number should change, but the column number should not change. That's exactly the same thing that we have to do. So if I say this number multiplied by this number, so with the first number, what should happen is the column number should not change. And with the second number, my row number should not change. And if I paste it down, I get the correct number. Yep. See, let's do it wrong way. The best way of understanding it is always doing it the wrong way. If I say equal to this number multiplied by this number, if I don't freeze anything, let me copy this formula and paste it on the right hand side. So when I paste it on the right hand side, I notice the results are not coming correct, right? Because when I'm multiplying with 1, I should have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only, but I'm getting 2, 6, 24, 120. So let's try to figure out what's gone wrong. So over here, the multiplication was correct. You can always check that thing. Just click in this bar, you will see that, what Excel does for you is it highlights those cells. It will highlight that cells, which two cells are getting multiplied. Just take a look at it. See that this and this is being multiplied. Now, when you copied directly without freezing, when you copied and pasted the formula over here, what the multiplication became? Multiplication became this number into this number. Because when you pasted the formula on the right hand side, the column number changed. Right? The column number changed. So the column number for this cell changed. So E became F and F became G. So if the numbers are getting multiplied, this into this. And same is the thing that is happening over here. The multiplication is just moving one step ahead, due to which you are getting the incorrect numbers. So I wanted to make sure that this cell, the column number of this cell should not change. See, these numbers are getting correctly multiplied, but what is making a problem over here is when I copied it. So this has to multiply by this same number has to be multiplied by this. But when I don't freeze it and copy and paste it, so this number is being picked correctly, but this is being picked up wrong. So in order to correct that thing out, so what I did was I freezed this E. So now when I paste it on the right hand side, you will now notice I'm getting the correct result. And now same thing I have to check for the bottom also. Again, the same challenge is happening. So when I'm multiplying this number for this number, again, this number is changing. The row number of this number is changing. So in order to make that freeze also, I freeze the row number of this. So now if you see, I get the correct output everywhere. So please, all of you, try and let me know if you have any doubt on this. Nitas, are you clear on this? Hello, everyone. Please let me know so I can move ahead. I'll also wait for 2 minutes so that you can also again try it. Thanks, Deepa. So, yep. I'm hoping all of you are able to try it. Hey, you can always, please feel free to stop me anywhere. If you want me to repeat anything, any number of times, please do not hesitate to do that. Okay. So now, I have tried the lower function over here. This was the text. This was the lower function. Can you same way try the upper function over here? All of you, please try the upper function and the proper function over here now. So for upper, I will say equal to upper, and I select the text. It is going to convert all the data into uppercase. See, now I'm going to again tell you a small quick shortcut over here. Okay. So I'm going to tell you all a quick shortcut over here that, if you have to paste the same stuff down, okay, when you have to paste the same stuff down, let me tell you, okay, how can you do it? Now, please pay attention over here. Now, this is again a very important shortcut. Shortcut, you already know a different technique. Okay. Suppose, these are the name of the customers. Let me paste it into a new sheet. I want to see all these customers in the uppercase, right? All the customer names, I want to convert them into uppercase. So I will apply a formula of upper. I'll say like the name of the customer. I get Sean Miller over here like this. But I have to convert all the names into uppercase. So how can I do it? How shall I select all that data now? Because this is a lot of data now, right? I can't keep going down like this, or I cannot copy it and I can keep on doing like this and keep on going down. It's like 10,000, right? So I can't do this. Anyone who can think or tell what's the quick way of doing it? Okay. So now, admittedly, there are two shortcuts that I'm going to tell you now. What you do is you copy it, you go to the adjacent cell, you come over here. How can I go to the last cell? Anyone who can tell me the shortcut? How can I go to the last cell? This is something that we discussed yesterday.
Control down.
Control down.
Control down. If I press control down arrow, it takes me to the last cell. I come back in the same column. Now I have to make the selection up till the top cell. How can I do that?
Control shift up arrow.
Perfect. Control Shift up arrow. Now the selection is made, and now I can press Control V, paste it. Formula is pasted everywhere. It was 10,000 rows. Everywhere the formula has been pasted. I go Control up arrow, I go to the top. So quick shortcut, right? So I'll repeat it again. So what I have done was I had to apply this formula in this entire in this entire range of cells. So because I could not keep on doing and keep on waiting for the last cell to come, because it would have been a lot of time taking process. What I did was I came to the adjacent cell, pressed Control down arrow, went to the last cell, came back to the correct column and pressed Control Shift up arrow, and I press Control V. You can press Control V or you can press Control D. Control D means duplicate the values on the downside. If you press Control D, you are going to get the same result. Control D means whatever value you have in this cell, you want to paste it down. That is called as Control D. Like for example, if I have written Amit over here, I select it, and if I press Control D, I get Amit everywhere. It's the same thing. It's as good as this only. It's as good as I copy it and I paste it. Or what I do is I select this range and I press Control D. It's as good as the same thing. Press Control D or Control V in that entire cells below. So this shortcut, are we all sorted on this? So I can apply this like this, and proper function I can apply like this. Proper of this. Proper means first alphabet in the uppercase and rest in the lowercase. I hope you all are with me. You are able to understand it, what we have done.
Yeah, proper is like init cap.
Huh?
The proper is like initial word, that is like init
Oh,
cap.
yes, right. So initial in the uppercase and then in the lowercase. Correct. Okay. Now we'll move to the next function, that is left function. Okay. Now left is a function that is used if you have to extract some number of characters from the left hand side. Okay, like for example, from all the words that I have written over here, right? All the words that are written over here, what I want to do over here now is I want to extract the first three characters, right? In the America, I want to extract AME. In goodbye, I want to extract GOO. I mean, I want to extract first three characters. So that is where the left function comes into the picture. Left means in the left function, you specify that how many characters you want to extract from the left hand side. Okay, from the left hand side, how many characters do you want to extract? So if I come over here and if I say left from America, now this left function, right? Just take a look at it. So you just write the function left. You get that function. It is saying it returns the specified number of characters from the start of the string. So it is going to take two inputs from you. Text, from which text you want to extract, comma, how many number of characters you want to extract, right? There are two inputs that it is asking for. I say this is the text, comma, now it is asking number of characters. How many characters do you want to extract? I want to extract 3 characters. I write 3, so it gives me AME. And I paste it down. From all the text, the first 3 characters are extracted. Okay. Now I hope you all can try the right also. Now right is just the opposite of that. When you want to extract specified number of characters from the right hand side. So please try this.
So it counts space as well as the one character.
If you have suppose spaces also, suppose the word was like this, it is going to extract 3 characters including the space. So if I say equal to right, from this word I want to extract 3 characters from the right hand side. So you see it gives space space A.
Okay.
Okay. So we paste it down. So it extracts 3 characters from the right hand side. OME, BYE. Now you see over here, we have the customer names. So now I will request all of you to please apply the left and right. So I want to extract first 5 characters from the customer names. Right? I want to extract first 5 characters from the customer name. So all of you please apply that formula. First 5 characters. And over here, I would like to extract last 5 characters. Done, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Others? Okay. Now let me twist the question. Okay. So extracting first characters, you all would have done it, right? You would have simply said left, and from the Sean Miller, you say, okay, I want to extract 5 characters from here. Okay. And you would have copied this formula down, and you got 5 characters from here. Now, if I ask you, let's change the question. I want to extract first name. I want to extract the first name from all the customer names, right? Like from here it is Sean. Over here it is, Tamara. We have Raymond, Tom, Hunter. Now I want to write one single formula, and what that formula should do is it should extract the first names of all the customers for me. Now, how do you think I will go ahead with that?
Up to space, maybe.
Hmm?
Giving the
Right?
delimiter.
So if we talk about the logic over here, so everywhere, if I'm able to find the position of space, right? Like in the Sean Miller, the space is coming at 5th position. That means I need to extract 4 characters. In Tamara, space is coming at 7th position. That means I want to extract 6 characters. So at whatever position the space is coming, 1 minus from that. Correct? That will give me the first name. Am I right? If I know what is the position of space and I subtract 1, suppose space is at 7th position, I say 7 minus 1, 6. That means I want to extract 6 characters. If the space is coming at 10th position, 10 minus 1, 9, I want to extract the 9 characters. Okay. If that is the task, so what we do in that case is we make use of one formula. That formula is called as find. So basically the output will come with the help of 2 formulas, but I'm telling you, first of all, I'm going to explain you one function, and that function is find. Okay, so we have done these functions as of now. I'll just highlight them. And I'm now coming on this find function. So find, how this find function works is, I'm showing you find function. Find is a function that we use to find the position of a particular character in the text, right? Like for example, this is Amit. If I say equal to find, right? If I say find, it takes 3 input. What text do you want to find? I want to find the position of I, comma. Second argument is within text. Where do you want to find it? I want to find it over here. Okay. Okay. Then, comma, it is asking for the starting number. From which position do you want to start finding? Okay. From which position do you want to start finding? That means in this name, do you want to start finding the I from the 2nd position, 1st position, 3rd position? From where do you want to start finding it? I'll write it 1. Now please make a note over here, in any formula. You see, these are the 3 inputs. What do you want to find? Where do you want to find? And starting number. Now the starting number is coming in the square bracket. You see, this is coming in the square bracket. And if any one of you would have remembered this thing, the same way when I was using left function, over there also this number of characters was coming in the square bracket. Now, what do we understand by if something is coming in the square brackets? If something is coming in the square brackets, that means that particular input is optional. Okay, that means that input is optional. So you see, I get output over here, Amit, I is coming at 3rd position, right? I get the output as 3, which is totally correct. I'll apply the formula same again. I'll apply the same formula again. I will say equal to find. I say find text. What do I want to find? I want to find I. Okay. It is asking within text, where do you want to find it? I want to find it in this name. Starting number, if I don't give, so by default, it is going to take that as 1, right? It is going to take that as 1. So I get the same input. So by default, it takes that as 1. Am I clear on this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now in Excel, we have two functions. One is find and one is search. Both these functions are same. The only difference between these two functions is find is case sensitive and search is case insensitive. Okay. Now find is case sensitive. What do I mean by case sensitive is, see, I is coming in the lower case. If suppose I try to say that I want to find the I which is in the lower case, in the upper case, I have written I, right? I have written I over here, but I in the upper case. Now my find will not be able to, solve it because it is trying to look out for capital I, but in the data I don't have that. So it gives me hash value error that the value is not available. Okay. But if I write lowercase I, it is able to find it. Now this is how the find is working. But when you use a search, search is case insensitive. If I say equal to search, it is exactly the same formula. Find text. What do you want to find? I want to find capital I. Where do you want to find? I want to find it in this Amit, right? Starting position 1, 3. See, search is able to find it. Search doesn't differentiate whether it's in uppercase or lowercase because it is case insensitive. Okay. So now I hope you all can try this. So if you want to find the space in the customer name, let's find it. I will say equal to find. What do I want to find? Space. Where do you want to find? In the customer name. Now space is coming at 5th position. So I'll apply this everywhere. So I have found the space at every position. So in Sean Miller, space is coming at 5th position. Tamara, it is coming at 7th position. Raymond, it's coming at 8th position. Tom, the space is coming at 4th position. Now what I will do is I will do space -1. That means whatever the number that I have got, I want to subtract 1 from there. I have to subtract 1 from there. And I want to find the first name. I will say left. What is the text? Sean Miller. How many number of characters do you want to extract? I want to extract these number of characters. That is whatever the number is coming over here. So if now you paste this formula down, everywhere you get the first name, right? Sean, Tamara, Raymond, Tom, Hunter, Will, Sanjeet, Christopher, right? Ken, Becky, Grant. I am able to fetch the first names right away. I hope I was able to make sense to all of you. This formula that we have tried. This is how we will be moving from some basics to the advanced formulas, and we will see how we can make the things dynamic. Right? So there are a lot of stuff that we will be exploring, how we can make our work dynamic in Excel. So that is how we keep on moving ahead step by step. And we will be seeing how we use multiple formulas together, because formulas are like the lifeline and the heart of Excel. Okay. So now I'm giving you all a task that right now, if you see over here, when I'm finding the first name, I am dependent on 3 calculations. I want that complete calculation to happen only in one single cell. Now, this is something that you all have to try as a homework. Okay. And apart from that, what I'll do is I'll share one small short assignment today with all of you to work upon. Okay. So I'll share it on the WhatsApp group itself, on which you can all work. And right, so Nikita, right, the question that you have asked over here is, so basically, yes, so today we are having the second session. So basically, in the complete 3 months of time, so we are going to cover a lot of technologies, right? We are going to learn Excel, SQL, Python, Power BI, R, and SQL, right? So all these technologies we are going to cover up. And in this entire process, we will be doing from basics to the advanced level of concepts, and all the assignments that I will be sharing with you. And I'll also keep on telling you during the session trainings only, like what are the things that are important from the interview perspective. And most of the assignments that I will be sharing with right. So what I've done is, like in my 10 years of career, that wherever I used to go for the interviews and all, so I used to capture the questions that were asked to me. So I have most of the questions that were asked to me in the interviews, and they generally remain same, right? You will find whenever you go for any interview, most of the places you will find the same questions being asked again and again. So based on that, that experience only, I will be sharing all those questions and the things with all of you. So all the assignments will coming from those questions only. Okay. There will be case studies also that I will be sharing you with on time to time basis. So anything you would like to ask before we close for the session today?
Yeah,
Any
but
query?
I have a question. Yeah, if the customer name, if it includes any special character other than nulls, can I use that in the find function, like hyphen or the pipe symbol?
You can do that. Suppose if the name was like this,
Mm-hmm.
if the names were like this, Sean Desmiller, right? So now if you want to find the function in the find, now you can use hyphen also. It will find that. Now you see it gives me Sean.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is what you were asking, right? Like if instead of space
Yeah.
you have some type. Now you can do that. So it will work.
Okay. And another thing in the conditional formatting, right? I saw an option of creating new rules, manage, and duplicate. I created a rule, first of all, using the new rule. And if I want to maintain the same format, I have duplicated that rule and I have made some edits. As an analyst, is it the correct way of approaching, or do I need to create a new rule for each and everything?
Sorry, can you come again?
See, in the conditional formatting, yeah, manage rules is to edit. Yeah, I used this option like format only cells that contain, I did so and so. The new rule will be created. If I
See, now if
want to,
you
yeah,
see, these are the same rules only that you see over here, right? Format the cells, format the cells based on their values. Suppose you want to do some color formatting, so you
yeah,
can
each,
choose the
each
values
thing
from.
I have explored, Amit. My question
Uh,
here is, manage rules, you said this is for editing purpose. If I want to change anything on my existing rule.
Correct.
There is
So
yet
you
another option called duplicate rules. After creating a rule, I have duplicated that rule and I have did some editing. Is that the
right.
good way to
So that, yeah. So
design, or
basically, if you want to apply, sometimes what happened is, because since you just started off with the formula, so I'll be coming back to the conditional formatting again. So we can do the conditional formatting with the help of formulas also. So now if you have to apply the same rule at another range, so it can be a like time consuming, where you will be writing all that formula all over again. So what we do is we duplicate that thing and we just make some changes that, okay, this formula, this conditional formatting now should be applied on this range rather than this range. So you will
Yeah.
make your those custom changes in that. So that's a perfectly
Because as a beginner, if I
true.
want to preserve the color coding formats, I just duplicate it. I just want to know, is it a good way to proceed or
Yeah.
just,
Right. So you can just duplicate that up.
and I have noticed this thing, stop if true, for all the rules that I have created. I couldn't get that.
See, stop if true is basically that means to apply that. So basically what you can do is you can write a condition over here that when do you want that the conditional formatting should not work, right? So again, I'll show you this thing. I'll show you this thing practically.
Okay. Okay, as of now, that's it. Thank you.
Sure. So Nikita, I'll just ask, I'll just get you added in that group. So all the things will be, provided, like Nikita, your concerns regarding the resume preparation, mock interviews, everything will be guided over here in this training session. So you will be prepared for all these things.
Sorry, one quick last question. I'll just wind up with this question. This is my last question. Can the formulas be nested because you taught left, right, upper, lower? After finding the first name, if I want to convert that to the uppercase, I can nest the formulas,
Yes,
right?
yes. Nested is the only, that is the only, that is basically what I have given as the homework to you right now. Like what I said was that, I am extracting the first name of the customer. So right now this formula is dependent on find and this. So I am putting this, I am getting this output by, building this formula in the three parts. Basically, this is where we use the concept of nesting, that I am able to get that output in that same single cell. So yes, you can do that. Like for example, this is what you're getting. You apply upper on this.
Yeah, maybe I can try it and I'll let you know if I have.
It gets converted into uppercase, the left characters, the first name. Okay, and you can apply it anywhere.
Okay.
So all the names are converted into uppercase. So this nesting is something that you will be using again a lot.
Okay.
And we will be seeing a lot of examples of this.
Okay. Yeah, that's it from my end. Thank you so much for your session.
Okay. So Nikita, like I think you're asking for the topics as in resume preparation, mock interviews, and interview support, right? I think this is what you're asking. The topics.
Yes.
So these are something that we will be doing in the last. So your profile will also be marketed by the team. So once we are like, when we will be around 70%, 80% of the course, that is where, all these things will start up.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So this is it. So let's connect tomorrow and let's get the things started from there. So next 2-3 days, we will be just spending on the formulas and functions to understand how do we use them. Okay. Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you for the section.